Jonathan Felix sat back in the chair after fixating the final electrodes to his skull. He is currently reclining in one of the most expensive private scientific investments in the world, and today was the fruition of his, and many others' efforts. The aim of the project was to open a human being's mind and allow them to perceive one of the spatial dimensions above the mediocre three. The actual result was still a point of consternation, but it was suspected that the individual would be able to study all possible universes that could be created from his actions, and then choose one which he wishes to follow. A man whose every action would be perfect, as he has already witnessed the result. Felix had jumped at the opportunity because he was young and headstrong, in his early 20s, and brilliant in the field of quantum mechanics. He was relishing the opportunity to apply the usual theoretical aspects of his craft to a physical medium. He gave the final thumbs up to the text behind the safety glass, and they activated the first stages of the machines. A microphone in the room relayed his words as the process started. If I have seen farther than others, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. Imitation was the greatest form of flattery, he thought with a grin. The chair reclined back until it became a flat table, and a large rotating dome lowered itself to encompass his entire body. Within the dome, there was a complex crystalline structure lining the inside. He focused on the facets of the crystal and noticed they had started to morph, shifting in ways his mind could not understand. He started to feel lightheaded and dizzy. His sight was suddenly filled with explosions of light, and his body started to spasm. Reading his health signs in the control room, the engineers instantly halted the operation. A medic ran in, checked the vitals of Felix, was pleased to find a weak, yet constant heartbeat. Felix opened his eyes a couple of minutes later. He looked up at the doctor and suddenly jerked up, realizing where he was. What happened? I don't feel any different. The doctor smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Any landing you can walk away from, right? The doctor turned away, caught his ankle on a trailing cable, tripped forward, and cracked his forehead against the corner of the table. His head twisted in a sickening angle. Reset. The doctor walked away, caught his ankle on a trailing cable, tripped forward, and then was grabbed by Felix as he threw himself from the chair, stopping him inches from the table corner. Felix collapsed and threw up, his hands shaking. He realized that he had just perceived two universes and had actively chosen the one he wanted. He smiled at the doctor. I did it. I can see them. I can see them all. Felix's smile faded. He now saw two new universes, both the same as far as he was aware. Suddenly a third, a fourth, a fifth blossomed in his mind. He could suddenly see all the possibilities that he was capable of, some he did not wish to see. His mind began to fracture. Felix grabbed the medic and in an act of unnatural rage plunged his thumbs into the poor attendant's eyes. Reset. Felix looked despairingly into the eyes of the medic and started to scream, refusing to stop even when bubbles of blood foamed around the corners of his mouth. Reset. Felix grabbed the table leg and forcefully headbutted the corner, only achieving his goal of shattering the skull on the fourth strike. Reset. Felix sat on the floor, experiencing all the potential evil that he was physically capable of. His body shook as he racked sobs of horror. He grabbed the collar of the medic and drew them face to face. Too far! Too far! He screamed. His eyes blurred for a second, then started to turn yellow and shriveled. At that same moment, his hair changed to the purest white. Felix, in his final moments, became aware of the magnitude of universes bearing down on him, and he would have to live through every single one. His grip slipped, and his mind was lost to the abyss. Reset.